So, a video of my random thoughts. I've posted a shitload of videos. I've been on YouTube for like going on 4 years, I think. And this is going to be the first video that I post that is just my own thoughts and opinions, except for about books and the Eurovision Song Contest. But I figured I was gonna try to make a video that's just what I think about some relatively relevant issue. I've been planning to do that for a while, and I think this is a really good time to start, because when I post this is going to be my 500th video on YouTube, which I think is totally crazy, but one after the other, and it kind of adds up. And I've been thinking about doing this video for a while, inspired by, I'm not going to say an argument because I only posted the one comment, but a response that I got on a discussion thread on the Atheist Experience blog. I don't actually remember exactly what the initial post was about, but I think it was abortion. Something to do with abortion and how atheists can be anti-abortion too, but it doesn't make sense, blah blah. I don't honestly remember what it was, because I just posted the one comment and there were lots of replies, probably not to my comment, but on the thread generally, and I think the weekend happened or something, because I didn't check back for several days, and by then it was just this long thing, so I didn't get into it then, but it really made me think. There was this one guy that I replied to, and I got the vibe that he was kind of anti-choice, so to speak. We don't have the abortion debate in Norway that they have in the United States. Abortion here is available, and normal people, if you pardon my French, don't really have a problem with it. So the terms anti-choice, pro-life, all of this, they don't really exist in my language. But this guy I would have called at least borderline anti-choice. And he said, you know, what's a good reason for abortion? I don't know, beyond whatever he came up with. And I said, kind of flippant in tone, I guess, although I did actually mean it, I said that if you need a reason for abortion, then the fact that the planet is grossly overpopulated might be one reason. Something to that effect. And then he came back with a response basically to say that he totally disagreed with me. And here's the interesting part, that what I said was anti-humanist somehow, because, you know, I dismiss the existence of these humans as just, oh, who cares, just abort. Because I think we need more abortion and not less, because we need fewer people on this planet, and that was anti-humanist somehow. And that really got me to thinking about what humanism, what we put into that term, because I am a humanist in the sense that I believe that the human experience really does come from human beings. Our morality, our ethical standards, our laws, our opinions, our emotions, they all come just from us. They don't come from any deity or any kind of supernatural being. There's just us. And just so nobody gets it wrong, I know that it says divine on my t-shirt, but that's a brand of chocolate. And that's as divine as it gets for me. So I am a humanist in that sense, but in the sense that this guy seemed to be referring to, I would say I am an anti-humanist if what is meant by humanism, in the context that he used the word, is the absolute dominance of our species at the expense of basically everything else. Because what he seemed to indicate was that it was wrong of me to think that we need to scale back our activities because there's too many of us. We take up too much space and too many resources. And to have that opinion, my opinion, was anti-humanist. And I have to say, to me, to have his opinion is really speciesist. Because we don't talk about overpopulation much at all. Sadly, it's the extremely overlooked elephant in the room. And we talk about all kinds of other problems, like global warming, or I should say climate changes, problem with agriculture in the sense that some people are starving, and other places there are problems with monocultures killing original plants. There's drought, there's floods, there's all kinds of things that we do talk about, but we don't talk about the cause of all these problems, you know, pollution, overfishing. There's really only one problem. I don't care that much about these other problems because they're all the same problem, overpopulation. And it's because of this that we're basically totally fucked. I'm not a friend of humanity. I am a misanthrope and a pessimist. I think that because human beings in general and humanity as a big blob, we're not able to think ahead properly. We just do what feels good right now, and we don't plan ahead sufficiently to stave off our own doom, I don't think. Because we can prevent the death of the oceans, quite possibly. We can prevent pollution destroying our own habitat, but we're not going to do that because there's no money in it. And we're not able to think several generations ahead, so yeah, we're fucked. So there is sort of a limit to how much I care about these problems, because I believe we're not going to be able to do anything about them anyway, because it's all down to overpopulation, and no one is going to do anything that really will make a dent in that problem, and every single other problem is due to that fact. And when I say this, I tend to get shit from well-meaning individuals who disagree with me, who tend to say that, no, there's enough food for everyone, we just need to redistribute all the resources fairly. And even if that was true, it's never going to happen. The resources in this world are never going to be distributed fairly. So if that's your solution, then shut the fuck up, because that's no solution. That's never going to happen. And the whole just to grow more food is just, that whole idea is totally wrong-headed, because it's the other way around. If we grow more food, the population is going to keep growing to keep up with the available food supply. We need to get the food supply down in order to get the population down. Or we can take some sensible measures like the Chinese did with their one-child policy, which is having unfortunate side effects, but I support it totally, and I think every country should have population control measures in place, but nobody does except China. So, like I say, we're totally fucked, because overpopulation is killing this planet. We're killing our own biosphere, and seeing that adds to my misanthropy, and I really don't think there's much hope for us beyond a few generations, because it's not sustainable the way we're living now. It is absolutely not sustainable. When I hear people talk about how, well, we can feed 14 billion people on this planet, so, you know, what are we, 7 now? So double that and we can still feed these people. But what is the point? And you call me a humanist for saying that I want more abortion and more birth control, more everything that can get the population down. How am I an anti-humanist? How is it better to have 14 billion people living on a subsistence level if we could have 4 billion, 2 billion living fantastic lives? Because there isn't enough for everyone. There's never going to be, because we're going to just keep growing until there's nothing left. And that's where the speciesism comes in. Because the more space we take, the less space there's left for other animals. Yes, I do think that we too are simply animals. Animals with huge brains and fantastically useful hands, but we're just animals. And the other animals that we share this planet with, that are fantastic, that are amazing creatures beyond our imaginings. Everything that we take is something that we take away from them. All the space, all the food, all the water, everything that we destroy, everything that we pollute, everything we cover in asphalt or tear up with the roots, it's all taking away from other creatures. And I find that this humanist angle, that humans first, is actually incredibly speciesist, because it does mean down with others. If we get this forest to build houses or a football field, whatever, then there are other animals that don't get to live there. And we're just killing off species at an amazing rate. Not necessarily killing them off, but just taking over so that this planet becomes uninhabitable to them, which is incredibly sad to see that, because I think that a lot of other creatures are enviable compared to humans. They're much better than us. And when I hear of news like there's one rhino killed every single day in South Africa, well, God knows I haven't heard, but God knows how many children are born, human children, each day in South Africa. And now I'm going to probably get some shit because, oh my god, she said that humans are less valuable than rhinos. Yes, of course we are. There's 7 billion of us, and there are so few rhinos. A Sumatran tiger is easily worth more than a human being. There's a few hundred of them, and 7 billion of us. So of course, something that is rare is always more valuable than something that is extremely common, like rats or cockroaches, which we resemble more and more, I have to say, in the way that we live, just gobbling up everything, destroying everything, leaving nothing. I think that not doing what little we can do to change this incredibly unfortunate spiral of death that our species is in it's not anti-humanist to point that out. It is very speciesist to not try to draw us out of this and to support the whole system that lets this happen, or actually that makes this happen, because they have the right to live too. Elephants and field mice and falcons and wild horses, they have the right to live, and we're taking that from them slowly but surely. The more there are of us, the less room there is for them. And here's the thing, no matter how much space we take from them, it'll never be enough anyway. Yeah, it's the big planet, but still, there's only so much space. We're gonna run out. We're going to one day have taken everything, and they'll be gone, and we'll have nothing left to take. So what's the point of just piling on more people just because we can feed 14 billion? Just because we can. Those 14 billion are going to have shitty lives. Why not try to get it down to a sustainable level and let the other animals on this planet have their chance too? That's never going to happen. So these are some really random thoughts because they're pointless, never going to come to fruition. But there's some of my thoughts randomly thrown out into the ether about humanism versus speciesism. And I think that speciesism is actually much worse than anti-humanism or whatever, because we're not the only ones, and we don't deserve everything at the expense of other creatures who have done nothing and who are able, in fact, to sustain themselves, to keep their breeding at sustainable levels, because they're not as wonderfully civilized as we are. And just in closing, I have to say, I don't know if you can see the Keanu Reeves calendar behind me. I'm a huge Keanu fan, but I'm not a fan of The Matrix. And the reason for that, just have to throw this out there, is that I always agreed with Agent Smith. We are a cancer on this planet. He's totally right. Everyone else would be much better off without us. And I really think it's not the way that we want to carry out our existence, killing everything with our greed and our endless self-obsession. I think it's distasteful. It's distasteful. It makes me almost ashamed to be human sometimes. Sad but true. Well, my 500th YouTube video. Hopefully not the last. Take care, have a good weekend. Try not to kill any endangered animals.